It's gonna get better, never stay the same. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
Hello and welcome to the Ericka James Show. I am so excited you joined me today. We have a great show for you. We are talking about how to believe. Isn't that awesome? How to believe. We often say, oh, I believe that, I believe that. But actually, there's a little more to it than we might think. So I'm so glad you're joining me. I am harnessing 30 years of transformational work to help you live the life you were created to live. And we are all about life on purpose. So how do we believe? Let's back up a little bit and ask a question. Maybe you've asked it, maybe you haven't. What is belief? I have a definition for you. Belief is 100% certainty. 100% certainty, meaning you are crystal clear without a shadow of a doubt that you know that you know that you know. That's when you're in belief. I have observed that a lot of people start with hope, but we're not quite in belief. And we can stay in hope. I hope this is going to happen. I hope that happens. But we're going to talk today about how to believe. And later in the show, I have a guest that's going to come and tell you his process and how he believes. He is a mover and shaker, and I'm so excited to have him. I'll share him with you a little bit later. And then we're going to always, on the Ericka James Show, we are going to end with the gift of the prophetic. I'm so excited. Can you tell I'm excited? I keep saying I'm excited, but I really am excited. So excited to be able to share the gift of the prophetic with you. It is really a way that I help people that I get to work with and come in touch with really stay on purpose, really know, how am I doing? Am I on track? Am I off track? And we have inner knowing, but also the prophetic helps you line up with that assignment on your life. I think we all have assignments. So when we talk about belief being 100% certainty, I want you to think about something that you struggled to believe. Maybe it's for that next job. Maybe it's for that business you've been wanting to start or taking your business to the next level. Maybe it's starting that ministry, writing that book, whatever it is, that thing that feels like it's just outside of your grasp. I want you to get that in mind and keep it front of mind all through today's show, because we're really going to help you take some specific steps and tap into that deeper genius inside of you to be able to come into a place of belief. I spend a lot of quiet time, and one of my quiet sessions, I really started getting this understanding about what true belief is. And I learned a few things I want to share with you. I learned that belief is not constant. We think that we may believe, and you may believe and be strong in your belief this day or this week, and then something can happen in our lives that can so easily shift our belief, that can derail our belief, that can detour our belief. And so one of the things that I want to make sure I get across today is belief isn't constant. It wavers. Some days you're strong, some days you're not. And it is okay. It is just part of the process. So we're going to delve into that even a little bit more later in the show. But I want to get back to this thing called certainty. How do we get there? I have been astounded as I've talked with people and really said, okay, what is it you want to do? What do you think you're called to do? What are you purposed to do? And it blows my mind how many people don't believe it. It blows my mind how many people are even praying for things that they don't really believe. You know you're in belief when your emotions line up with what you're asking for and what you're believing for. So whatever that is, let's say you want that next promotion on your job and you're like, oh man, I'm hoping I get that. But there comes a time where you kick in and you're like, you know what? I just really believe I'm going to get that. And here's the other part. This or something better is going to come my way. It works without fail. If you can keep your eyes focused forward and not listen to the distractions, listen to the feedback coming in from all different sources around you, that's the power of belief. So I'm going to talk about a few steps real quick because I want to just share some tips and tools. And I'm so excited to hear how our guest processes his. But one of the things I do is I write down, I do a lot of writing, a lot of journaling. I write down what it is you want to believe for. What do you need next? What's your next up level? What's the next thing that you need to manifest? What feels like it's in between where you are right now and where you want to be? That's what we want to practice our belief on. And you have to practice because belief literally operates like a rubber band. So one day your belief is strong, it's expanded, you're believing this, you're believing big, and then, ooh, something can happen. And that belief constricts. And that's why we have to spend time practicing belief. So I want you to think through that thing we talked about earlier that you're going to believe for. What would it feel like to manifest in your life? Would you walk differently? Would you think differently? Would you talk differently? Would you carry yourself differently if it was already manifested? And one of the things that I have learned, and I want to share it with you, is if you believe things as if they've already arrived, as if it's already done, as if that checkbox is already checked, what begins to happen is amazing. Your mind begins to line up with your heart. Your heart begins to line up with your soul. Your soul begins to line up with your spirit. And heaven responds. And what begins to happen is a divine orchestration of circumstances, of people, of miracles that we're like, I can't believe this happened. But actually, it's because you did believe. When you practice believing for that next level thing, watch what happens. I really want to challenge you to practice believing. It could be Tuesday and I'm like, hey, I'm in, this thing is done. But by Friday, maybe my schedule's tight, maybe I'm busy. What in the world am I going to do to try to make this happen? Do we really believe? I envision a world where we are living 100% on purpose. I truly believe that if we could actually tap into that inner greatness, that ineffable thing inside of us, you and I could change the world. I believe every one of the world's issues could be solved if only we could believe in ourselves, believe in our purpose, and believe in our ability to walk it out. You got it? All right. I told you we're going deep, you all. So I want you to stay with me because I've got a very special guest coming up. One of the things I want to do is get beyond the success. So often we see people who, oh my goodness, they're doing well. You know, they've got this. We don't really say they manifested this, but they did. And we often are left in this mystery. How did they do it? What did they have to overcome? How did they believe in it? And I want to get behind the veil. And so we have coming up Mr. Ryan Ray. I can't wait for you all to meet him. He is a mover and a shaker and a big believer in himself, in his vision, in his goals, and in his dreams. And I can't wait to ask Ryan a few questions. So stay with me. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Ericka James Show. We are all about life on purpose. I am ecstatic today. I'm usually excited, but I'm ecstatic. We have a special guest today, and we're going to get behind the story, behind the success. I want to ask some juicy questions to Mr. Ryan Ray. I am so excited that you are here. Just want to introduce Ryan real quickly. He is an entrepreneur. We love that word. He's a CEO at Jobs for Life, and he also is the president and founder of the Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership and has some other good stuff he's going to tell us about. But I just have enjoyed meeting you, getting to know you, and as I was literally praying for who is going to be on my show, you were one of the first names. I could show you the actual sticky note I wrote your name on. And so I am just delighted that you were able to squeeze it into your busy schedule to be here. But let's jump right in.
Well,
I have so many questions for you.
Well, let's get into it.
So I'm so glad you're here. So our topic today is how to really believe. And I know you are up to some big things, have been up to some big things, and I have some questions for you. So I want to know, what are some of the big things as you look back in your life? What are some of the biggest things you've had to believe for?
Yeah, it's a great question. Coming from a small town Dunn, North Carolina. I call it the big metropolis. I began to find myself in some rooms that I didn't necessarily feel qualified to be in right away at a young age. Oftentimes, I found myself as the youngest and sometimes the only one of color
Yeah.
in a room. So I had to begin to believe and have the confidence that I belonged. And that took some time to get there.
So when you all were in Dunn, did you ever come to the big city very much? I'm totally
The
kidding. You don't
big
have to
city.
answer that question. I'm completely messing with you. All right. So when we talk about belief,
Mhm.
first and foremost, how do you define it? When you think about belief, and if someone were to ask, Ryan, what's belief?
Yeah.
How would
Uh,
you respond to that?
Yeah, I would say that it's confidence, and it's also an assurance
Okay.
of something that you believe to be true. And I love what you said earlier, if I may, that a belief is sometimes when we have a very closed mind, right? And we say, you know what, this is what I believe, and I'm not open to any more information. But information and experiences causes us to then change our belief, which then helps us to believe something new. And that's the transformation process that I like to go through. But I think it's knowing in the moment, but with the ability to recognize that opportunities and it can expand.
Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
I just had a 2-word. I love that. I was like, this is what belief is. You're like, let me break it down. You can tell that you were into transformation
Yes.
because there's a language. It's
Yes.
not about surface. It's not about, we're just having play time.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
we're going
We're
deep.
going deep. You got to go there.
I
You
love it.
gotta
That's
go
why
there.
you're here. All right. So, as you were working to begin to believe you belonged in these rooms,
Mhm.
you were qualified.
Mhm.
What has that process been? Like, when you go home after that event that you didn't feel, like, ooh, don't know if I'm supposed to be at the table.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, break that down a
Yeah.
little bit. What is your internal process?
So the internal process, I can sum it up in a word, but I'll break it down. And that word is faith, right? And faith is really believing that everything you need is already there. And
Woo!
so for me, it was a matter of now saying, you know what, let me focus on the work. And so then the work just became, what do I need to do to develop the best version of myself?
Ooh.
And so for me, it became, how can I focus on myself that I can bring value to the world, value to the market, value to that meeting, value to the rooms that I was sitting in. And so for me, it began just, everything is there. God has the ultimate plan. Ryan, you go do the work.
Oh, that's so good. And so you said to actually believe that you can do it, to believe you're capable in that faith. And what did you say? To believe in your best self? That's not what you said.
Yeah, so to believe that everything I need is already provided, right? Like it's already, like for instance, this
Yes.
table, before it was a table, uh, somebody believed that it would be.
Yes. Yes.
And then all it took was, how do we manifest it? How do
Yeah.
we make the glass and stand it up? But everything was already in the earth, right? And then somebody just had to go to work to make it. And for me, that was the work. How do I put the work next to what I already believed was possible?
Yeah. And I love that you talk about faith because it is a real substance
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
can turn into,
Absolutely.
this physical table.
Absolutely.
So, what would you say to somebody who's struggling with their belief, who's struggling with their purpose, who's struggling with their belief?
Yeah.
What would
For
you
me,
say?
what always brings me back home and gets me what I call out of the weeds is that I stop focusing on myself and focus on others. I believe that we were put here for a purpose beyond ourselves. And when we can begin to lock in and say, how can I be of service to other people? It's amazing how that belief starts to develop, because it translates from telling yourself to now you're being affirmed in others
Yeah.
because you're delivering value to them. And as you're hearing that over and over from other people, then that helps to increase your belief, right? And now you just go do more work,
Yeah.
get better, go deliver value.
So, in your process, did you believe before you did the work? You believed it was already there, and then you put the work in as if it's already done.
Yeah.
So you assumed that it was going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Without evidence.
Give me
Right?
some five. I know
There's no
we're social
evidence.
distancing, but I had
We can
to
do that. We can do
assume.
that.
That's so good. Yeah, with
Absolutely.
no
Yeah.
evidence.
Well, we only do what we believe
That's
we
right.
can do,
That's right.
right?
That's so key.
I mean, we
Wow.
really don't. Like, we will only do what we believe we can do. And so we may not believe for the big thing, but there's something we believe we can do. And if we do that, then those small wins start to build a momentum. And next thing you know, you're conquering the mountain.
Yes. I love that. All right, so you dropped a little seed that I have to dig into.
Okay.
You said you were about to launch the Ryan Ray brand, and I know that is
Yes.
years in the making.
Yes.
And just tell me about that process
Sure.
and what you're believing for to come. What are you
Absolutely.
believing for
Yeah.
that to happen?
So in 2015, after going through that process of believing, I believed that I had a value that I could deliver to the entrepreneur and small business community. And so I started an organization called Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership, which you mentioned earlier. And I started that organization for a few reasons. One was because I truly wanted to serve entrepreneurs. The other was I heard someone says that, there's two ways to have a stage. It's to be invited to it or build your own, right? And so that was my model, to build my own stage, but I also wanted to invite other experts to join me on that stage. And one of those experts that joined me saw more in me.
Yeah.
And I was using Triangle as a vehicle really to hide behind, right?
Ooh.
And she said, no, Ryan, you're the brand. You've got to come out
Come
from
on, we
behind the
see
curtain.
you.
And so it took someone else seeing value in me for me to now have the belief that I could go out. And so we're launching that brand. We've done some soft launching. We'll do a formal launch the first of the year. But what I'm believing is that, I envision a world, Ericka, where people are loving, abundant, and where everyone feels empowered. In today's society, when we look around, and even before all the things that we're experiencing today, people just don't feel like they have a voice, right? And I believe that God gave us all a purpose, God gave us all value, and God gave us all something that we can contribute. And so I want people to feel like they can unlock that power and grab a hold of that purpose.
Woo!
Right?
You're talking my language. Woo! Yes.
And serve and serve the
Yes.
world.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, we are right there.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
I love it because we did not get a chance to talk about this is what the show's about.
No, we did not.
So I am so excited.
Thank you.
Okay, so 5 years from now,
Mhm.
breakdown. Give me a quick breakdown
Quick breakdown.
because we're going to go into the prophetic. So
Okay.
I might need to save that question and tell you. No, so we might want,
Well,
you know what? Let's do that.
Just save the question. We'll save it. We'll save it. You tell me where I'll be in 5 years.
You got it. So awesome, you all. We are talking about life on purpose, and Ryan Ray is a living testament that there is greatness in you, that there is more to come.
Yes.
We're not done yet. I always say, no matter how high you're aiming, aim higher. No matter how much greatness you've experienced, there's more to come.
Wow.
It's really about living life on purpose, taking the limits off. And that's what we're all about here. But stay tuned because the next segment, I am just taking it all off, taking all the limits off. And we are going to do a live prophetic session. I do not know the questions Ryan has. We are just going to go with it right here, right now, and let's see what comes.
Awesome.
So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are so excited here today. We are going to be talking about life on purpose, but in this segment, drumroll please, we're actually going to do a live prophetic session. If you are not familiar with the prophetic, it really is a gift from God to hear his heart, to tune into what he's saying through the Holy Spirit. And this gift opened up for me years ago, but I'm so glad it has been tried and tested, and we're going to really test it right here live on camera. I do not know the questions that Ryan has, but we have with us Mr. Ryan Ray, who is a prolific entrepreneur, CEO of Jobs for Life. He's the founder of Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership. And as if that's not enough, you have 2 young boys, a beautiful wife,
Yes.
and you are starting the Ryan Ray brand.
Yes.
So what questions do you have? And whenever I do a prophetic session, what I ask people is if you could ask God anything and actually get an answer, what would it be? So let it rip. Let's see.
Let's
and then
do it.
I'll just do some writing
All right.
as stuff pours out.
Well, let's start with the question you asked. Coming up from the work that I do now with Jobs for Life, having the entrepreneurial brand and model, where do you see the Ryan Ray Official as a brand that encompasses all of those programs?
I write my questions down, so okay.
Okay. So one of the questions I have is, how long do I lead a nonprofit, Jobs for Life? I've been mentored, as some said 5 years. Is that long enough, or does a new CEO need to come in and take over that vision? So that's another question. Another question is, my belief is that as I begin to retire and wind down the road, that it's traveling the country, inspiring audiences all over the world. And so I'd like to know that that's if that's where we're headed.
Yeah, meaning like, is that a dream or is that really God's intention
Exactly.
for you?
Mm-hmm.
So just to give a little bit of insight, so you see me scribbling,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as we got quiet during the break, I started getting downloads.
Okay.
So you're going to get this, and I'm going to tell you what else,
Okay.
the other things that come.
Love it.
So give me a second. I'm going to scribble out a few things that I'm getting
Absolutely.
downloads about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm getting is that as much as other people think that you've been out there,
Mm-hmm.
you've still been hidden.
Mm.
And it's nothing compared to where God wants to take you.
Wow.
And he showed me real estate. There's definitely going to be a real estate empire that walks alongside,
Mm.
everything else that you're doing.
Okay.
And absolutely, you were called to impact millions. That is purpose. That is not just your ego, like, oh, I think I want to, have
Yeah.
that dream that someone else is doing it,
Right.
but it is yours.
Okay.
And the Lord said that you were called to touch and to impact millions.
Wow.
Millions.
Wow.
He said, hear him saying, he's given you a greater capacity.
Mm-hmm.
He said, even then a greater capacity than the people you currently admire.
Mm. Wow.
So he's saying, take the ones you currently admire, take the ones that you would currently mentor, and he's actually going to use that as your floor.
Wow.
And have you move higher. And he says that you are ready. He said, you have been so faithful.
Mm.
You have been so faithful, and you've toiled in silence.
Mm.
And nobody's even understood what you've had to carry, what you've had to toil. He's showing me that you take a lot of hits. Like people will say something, and other than you saying, like, you'll take the hit, you'll take the hit.
Right.
And the Lord said that is his heart.
Okay.
And so you've been very faithful about that. So as you come out of hiding, and I heard it immediately, you have 2 more years at Jobs for Life.
Wow.
So it's not 5, it's 2.
Okay.
Things are really going to start to accelerate.
Okay.
As you begin to release the Ryan Ray brand, I'm seeing it literally, like, people are going to come with cups, like they're just going to be fed and what's in you. God's saying, as much as people are impressed and they see it's only like this much that's poured out, and you have just a tremendous capacity.
Wow.
And this is the first thing that you're going to be able to really spread your wings on
Mm.
and really be able to fly and move. It's going to move very fast. He's actually showing me an eagle that catches wind.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Uh-huh.
like it's just going to soar. And he's saying that you will know the right time.
Hmm.
Because succession is very important to you.
Right.
The way things get passed on, that it's tight, it's thorough.
Yes.
He's actually saying make sure systems are in order now.
Yes.
Start your exit plan now.
Wow.
Start getting he said empowerment. You were all about empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Start getting the people that you want to get empowered in place, all of that.
Okay.
Because 2 years is going to fly.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, and he's
It
really
already
even
has.
going to, there's some things in the organization that haven't happened yet
Mhm.
that you want to see happen in your tenure. You think it's going to take 5 years, it's really going to take 2.
Wow.
And so really, he's showing me like you leaning in, like really go for those things.
Okay.
And he's showing me some of the people don't even believe in it yet. And you have the vision, he's given it to you.
Okay.
And it's about a baton that organization has given you to take it to the next level.
Mhm.
So that's
Exactly.
really important.
Mhm.
And he's showing me in this ecosphere of Ryan Ray, everything that you touch is going to elevate. Every person that he's highlighted to you to share your stage with, they are all going to elevate, and it's going to astound all of you.
Wow.
Like them and you and everybody. And he said that there's people around you that they've been like supporting you, and they're like, whatever you need, Ryan, I'm there. And those people, like he wants you to start with those people to give platform, to pull
Yes.
them forward,
Yes.
to grow
Yes.
them. He said you're a master grower. You're a master builder of people.
Mm.
Like a master. My mom's a master gardener,
Okay.
but you're a master grower of people.
Wow.
And so that's going to be really important.
Okay.
That's going to be really important. And again, it feels like 2 years, like start getting people ready. Start getting people ready, even in the other sphere,
Okay.
because it's going to fly. And if you don't start moving now, you'll feel uncomfortable doing what God needs you to do because there's people that need to come alongside you. So, so where do I see Ryan Ray as a brand? I know you, and what even I can see is a lot. And God's saying, oh, no, that's nothing compared to where he's going to take you. So it's going to, and I feel like I'm confirming this. He said he's already shown you this, but it's going to be international. It's going to touch millions. You definitely are going to be able to use media in a really, really big way.
Okay.
And it's going to touch just a lot of lives. You're actually going to become like a coach and a cheerleader. It's really a coach and a mentor to a lot of people that are very public, what we would call celebrity. A lot of people, they're going to be coming to you. and then you're speaking. I'm seeing a booked calendar for 2 and 3 years out. Like your speaking is going to be in such demand
Wow.
that you're really going to have to manage it.
Wow.
And all of this is going to be starting. The Lord's saying, even though you have 2 years to really rev up, in the next 6 months, you're going to start to see an acceleration and activation of this stuff. So, as awesome as you are, you're still in hiding. Wow.
Haven't even come out yet.
So yeah, it is. Yeah. You feel like that? Like I'm just getting started in some ways?
Yeah.
So did that answer your questions?
Very affirming. I mean, all of the things from the team to my heart is to build people, and then that builds communities. And so that master grower of people really resonates. Hadn't put it in that language, but that really resonates.
Own that. You're a master grower of people. You're a master empowerer. And then does the real estate piece resonate? Is that something that...
It's funny, as before, one of the question that didn't come up, my wife and I, we're probably a year out from purchasing another home. She's starting to look. And so part of me is real estate developing, right, versus just buying a home, right? And I know she has a little bit of that too. And then yes, I've seen Ryan Ray owning real estate again as a empowerment piece where people can come to, right? Like we can do the events, we can do the training, we can do the coaching, we can have the office space. And one of the people in my team who I mentioned earlier is already out there looking for real estate.
Yes.
For the Ryan Ray brand.
Sometimes I hear things, people look at me like, what? And then I'll get a call in 2 years. Like, remember when you said that, Ericka? It was dead on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
You got the
Big
gift.
things are in store.
Yeah,
Big things are in store.
There are.
So I'm so excited. Does that help you know kind of right now what you need to be doing?
That does.
To prepare. We don't want you taken off guard, but it is going to happen faster than you think.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I think it's been a lot of the seed planting, if you will. And I love that parable of the sower. And I teach that a lot, is that you put the seeds in the ground, and eventually at some point, some water, God gives the increase. And when it's time, you're going to reap based on the seeds that you put in the ground. And so, I've lived a life up to this point of really just sowing the seeds. So yeah, it's that doesn't surprise me, because it's a principle.
You're graced for it. You envision it. So good. Awesome. But just even more, like just stretch yourself to say, okay, really, this is what I can conceive. What does the beyond what I can think or imagine look like?
Well, the Jobs for Life 2 years helps.
Okay.
Because, of course, we operate better when we have a target, deadline, sense of urgency. That unknown has probably been one of the hindrances.
Okay.
But knowing that...
Anybody from Jobs for Life is watching.
Right, I'm glad we're not live, right? Can I see this segment before you release it?
Right. Thank you
but that's
so
okay.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I just hope that was affirming.
That was awesome.
And confirming.
That
That's
was
the
awesome.
power of the prophetic. So you guys got to witness a live prophetic session. I love it. We usually get a chance to go deeper, but I really want you to just glean some pieces from Ryan's time, the questions he's asking. There are answers for your questions so you can live life on purpose. And know that you are extraordinary and you were called to build something extraordinary. And I will be right by your side here on the Ericka James Show as we walk this out together. Good seeing you. I'll see you soon.